Hey, potential sponsor. Did you know that each episode of RecLess averages over 500 listens? That's 500 potential agencies that you could influence or reach. Over all of our social media and listening platforms, we have over 2,200 subscribers and followers. Not bad for this little passion project of ours from 3 professional work friends. This spot right here could be yours. Not only would you reach the Parks and Rec masses, but your contribution goes directly to supporting Parks and Rec professionals in our field through scholarships for professional development. Contact us today at recklesspod@gmail.com or check us out at recklesspod.com for more details. And now, on with the show.
Welcome to Season 6 of RecLess, the podcast making you smarter about the field of parks and recreation. Your hosts are Shane Mize, Jay Tryon, and Tom Venniro, 3 professional friends, if you know, from around the country, bringing you a surprise guest each episode. This project has made an impact, educates others, and continues to support a growing community. Thank you for being part of it. This is RecLess.
What's up, Jay?
How you doing, man?
Good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm just actually finalizing one last email before we start.
If I speak at this level, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I hear you fine.
You're in a different spot too.
Yeah, I'm home with a child who miraculously just fell asleep right before the episode. So I can't go all the way up in the attic and leave her, but
Usually you're in the attic?
yes.
No, I didn't know that.
That's the recording studio.
Okay, good to know.
Miraculously, was it Tylenol induced? Is that what you're saying? Did you drug your daughter?
I didn't. Just,
Maybe it's his son. How do you know it's the daughter?
He said it was her. He
I
said
didn't
she
hear
went
that
to
part.
sleep.
Oh, okay. Well, you guys good?
Sweet. Let's roll.
Okay. Well, welcome everybody to episode 104 of RecLess, a podcast focusing on the industry of park and rec through 3 close friends.
Hey, Jay.
We're all in different parts of the country. Shane is doing his due diligence of just interrupting as usual. My name is Jay Tryon. I'm your host today, and I have Shane and Tom. You've already heard Shane, but Tom is also here. What's going on, guys?
Hey guys. He's always good for a smile and a laugh to start.
Good to be
I
back.
think next time I'm just going to mute him until I'm completely done.
Yeah, then make him the host.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes, exactly. So he can't control anything.
Oh, man.
Well, what's going on? You guys good today?
Dude,
Yeah.
we, I don't know if you follow our socials. Had a mainline break that hopefully by the time everyone hears this will be resolved, but it's affecting drinking water and operations. It's not something of us. It's a water line that goes into our lake, which is our water reservoir. But man, you forget about how important just small bits of infrastructure are. Some pipe, 20 feet in the ground has a break, and all of a sudden,
life stops. Utilities, man.
Everything matters. Yeah, it's incredible.
We experienced that about half a year ago, and then honestly, still there are parts of it that have been needed to be resolved over time because whether it's the piping and just it's a mess. But that people take that for granted.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. Well, hey, listen, I got a fun question we're going to start the show with. And we typically always get into some sort of food conversation. And because of our guest involvement in food, I know we'll probably get there later. So I got a food related question for you. And my question is, what is a weird food combination or weird food item that you secretly love that people would not know about you?
Steak and eggs for Shane. Just gonna
guess like something. You have to say something that is not on a normal restaurant menu, or it could be a combination of things that like I got 2. Okay, so that's why I'll go first.
I've got a good one.
Okay, cool. So my weird combo that I like, and people think of like when you have steak, people might want like a glass of red wine. So like I actually, for some reason, when I was a teenager, whenever we'd have spaghetti, I would actually pair spaghetti with orange juice, and it would just be like something. Wow. And I still do it like to this day. Like
wow.
I like have a weird craving sometimes for orange juice when I have spaghetti.
Will Lindsay even
That
go out and eat with you? Like, do they even have orange juice at a
can't
restaurant?
you don't do that at an Italian
I-
restaurant, dude. Man, we missed our chance in Boston.
We really did.
I actually don't think I've ever ordered orange juice at a restaurant. So it's just at home. Only at
You know,
home.
you should go to Italy if you ever do that with Lindsay and the kids and ask for an orange juice.
Yeah.
Or with us. Go with us.
So before I even say that, can I ask, is our guest Bobby Flay?
Right,
Said they
Test
have
Kitchen.
involvement in food.
I know, that's what I thought too.
Nope. That would be fun though.
My first thought was Anthony Bourdain, but I don't think it's him.
No.
So I'll go and I may have even talked about this before. Hopefully not.
Blueberry sausage.
That is what I was going to talk about. So
You're not allowed to talk about that. We already know about it.
it's not the blueberry sausage though. That was derived from a sandwich. And so a good combination that we really enjoy is well, I like to make sandwiches, and I could probably give you a dozen wacky combinations that Shane would never try, but found out I don't know how, but somehow that blueberry and balsamic vinegar and chocolate with a good melted cheese and turkey it's pretty
Gross.
good. It's a good sandwich, I'm telling you. You got to obviously have the right proportions, a good bread. Wegmans is typically the go-to. They make a rosemary and thyme Italian bread. That's amazing. Little shout out to Wegmans and their bakery.
So I'm
But,
going to Wegmans
yeah.
tomorrow, and I can't wait.
Where are you?
I'm home right
the
now.
North Carolina Wegmans.
We're going to
Okay.
be in Raleigh, and there's one in Raleigh.
Okay.
So-
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. The blueberry
Okay.
balsamic chicken sandwich. A little bit of chocolate, Shane. We'll get you to try it.
It's gross.
Okay, Shane, what you got? You were ready pretty quickly.
Yeah, the young professional group, our YPN fam knows this, but the public won't know this. But I'm a huge fan of flavored milks, strawberry milk, chocolate milk. I like eggnog. There's a dairy farm that'll do down here that'll do a cappuccino milk and a pecan milk. I'm a big fan of milk. I drink milk as an adult, which is something that floors Jay every time.
No. Let's back up. I'm not surprised that you drink milk as an adult. I've just never eaten at a restaurant with an adult that's ordered chocolate milk as their drink.
So I am as committed to my bit. I'm more committed to you because you're not ordering orange juice with your spaghetti at a restaurant. Meanwhile, I'm
Sure.
like, yeah, I'll take your finest chocolate milk,
He's
please.
afraid of the public backlash.
That's right.
Well, maybe next time we go out for Italian, I might have to see, and they might look at me and say, we don't have orange juice here.
But the crazy thing is, I don't like, I guess what you'd call regular flavored milk. I don't like the taste of milk, but I love flavored milk. So strawberry milk, I drink strawberry milk or chocolate milk every single day.
Good deal. Okay, well, I'm going to start getting into some fun facts about the guest, and that will prompt to connect that question eventually when we get there. But today's guest has served in a variety of leadership roles for over 20 years. This guest has been presented a number of awards, including being recognized as an outstanding professional by their state association, being recognized through the Community Service Award by the local Chamber of Commerce. Their city was recognized for a Health City Award, and also their state association recognized this person's department for an outstanding special event. They have presented at a number of state conferences, including Utah, Arizona, Athletic Business Conference, Nevada, Montana, and many others.
What are they schlepping it with us for? They seem pretty
Good question.
prestigious.
Graduate of Utah State. Quiz for Shane. What is Utah State?
They're the Aggies.
You are correct. Okay, our guest has their own barbecue catering company and owns a smoker that is the size of a small truck.
Let's
So
go.
there's our food connection there. They have a sock addiction, which I think has become like more of a common thing these days of people just like love unique socks.
Nate was on that for a while, right?
Yeah.
You followed Nate on socials. You were seeing socks
so.
all the time.
Yeah. They are a proud parent of 4 kids, ranging from 11 years old to 18 years old. Huge fan of Western movies. Serves on the State Youth Council Board. Currently serves on the NRPA's Conference Program Committee. They are a co-founder of the Director Summit, which we previously had one of the other co-founders on.
I screamed the name out.
Yeah, I mean, you probably are going to get it now, but I still want to get through a few more things. Our guest has published several articles, including a few on esports. They are a co-founder of the Park and Recreation Leadership Initiative built to strengthen our industry one leader at a time, which is at Director Summit. Very skilled guest with working with local businesses and obtaining donations and funding. So, with that being said, please welcome today's guest, the Administration Services
BK.
Director for Centerville, Utah, Bryce King. What's going on, Bryce?
What's up, buddy?
Bryce, welcome.
You're muted.
Sorry, my bad. Amateur hour.
What's
How's
going
it
on,
going?
man? Welcome
Hey,
on.
how's it going, guys?
Good.
Man, the smoker.
Yeah, pretty incredible.
This is going to derail this whole hour. I don't even want to talk to you about leadership.
This is going to be a food show.
We probably could go the entire hour with food for sure, considering we've had a lot of barbecue conversations on different episodes.
Yeah, you guys were talking about crazy food. What about Oreos and bacon?
See?
I'm more interested in your crazy food than either of these knuckleheads' crazy food.
Yeah. Anything that has to do with the smoker, I'm sure is going to be up Shane's alley.
So I've had, I'm just going to add this. In Disney, I had churros with bacon and chipotle sauce on them. So you had the cinnamon churros and then bacon on top with like a orange chipotle. And it was amazing. I'm not a churro guy, but that was phenomenal.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, when you were talking, Tom, chocolate on a sandwich, you had me there.
It's a thing.
Neither the chocolate or the sandwich was I opposed to. It was everything else, actually.
Well, my grandparents had a restaurant in Yellowstone for 30 years, and I worked there in the summertime. And when my grandpa passed away, I inherited that double barrel smoker. And so it's
But
just
not the restaurant.
No, it was sold before that. So, yeah, I kind of get to use it as kind of a side hustle. I do mostly like charity events and friend things and donate time to URPA for donations and stuff. So it's not really a full-time gig, but it's definitely something I love to do. So.
Summers in Yellowstone. That doesn't seem like a bad gig.
Nope, Silvergate, Montana.
That's awesome.
Incredible.
Pretty awesome.
Well, we'll get to the food talk later for sure.
Okay.
But I mentioned Director Summit, and you're part of a team that created that. And just recently, y'all can finish your third year. Love to get your take on how that's grown, where you see it's going in the future, and just overall, the impact that's having that you've seen from the 3 years you've had it so far.
Yeah, no, we've had a great run at this. It kind of started really small and, in the city hall of DeSoto, Texas, and we've kind of just evolved and kind of gotten this new perspective on. And I think the one thing we were talking this morning, we were on a board meeting and we were talking like, this really isn't a conference. This is like an experience. And this is something for people to kind of develop, who they are individually as a person, more than it is about Parks and Rec. Sure, Parks and Rec comes into play, but really the small group setting and the intimate conversations is really what makes Director Summit pretty unique. And I would anticipate when we open registration in a few days, we'll probably sell out in 72 hours. Our partners that we have are committed to the cause. They really help offset the costs. We don't really want it to be a money-making thing. We just want it to be an experience for people to be better. So pretty awesome that 2027 is going to be in Zion National Park. So coming back to Utah, I'm pretty excited for that. So hopefully we get some good participation as we're in an indoor classroom looking up at the Red Rocks. So
That's incredible. And I want to say it was 2 years ago, not this last one, but maybe 25. I don't know if Bryce and Bryce, I haven't really gotten a chance to meet you. So nice to meet you
nice to meet you too.
Be able to have this conversation. But I do remember getting an email either from Shane or Jay that mentioned RecLess at the Director Summit. And so I don't know if you have any strings to pull. It sounds like you guys are going to sell out, but hey, RecLess is open to Yellowstone and Utah.
Listen, we have
Zion. Zion.
We have 2 spots open, so the 3 of you can fight it out.
We've done that before. We'll just bunk together. You still got 1 spot available.
Oh, okay, fair.
Yeah,
No,
if there's
I
one
think that
room
would
available,
be.
we can squeeze.
I
So
think that'd be incredible to do a Reckless podcast right in
that'd be
Zion
cool.
National Park. That'd be epic.
Cool.
That
That'd be
would be
cool.
cool.
There's a lot of ideas that are floating through my head with how we can do that too. But realistically, for people listening out there, I think when we release this, you had mentioned that you're opening registration in a couple days or
Yeah,
soon. Is that okay? So
yeah,
when we release this, that'll be past.
yeah.
But for people interested, because I'm sure there's a little bit of FOMO and envy, it's when they hear about this and they hear individuals like you and Chase talk about it, how would they even, crack the surface or find out about Director Summit and maybe be added to a list of consideration?
Yeah, so you can get on the website on 110%, and they kind of have a waiting list
Okay.
per se. Really, what we try to do is we really try to hand invite people. We're trying to get a really diverse group of people. We're not trying to be all heavy Utah or heavy Texas. We're really trying to get a representation of a lot of different people from around the country. And our board is very diverse now. I mean, we have Parks and Rec people. You have Angela Summer, who's assistant city manager. You have myself, who's kind of like an assistant city manager. And so we're kind of evolving into, not just Parks and Rec, but also leadership and development and city admin and those types of things. So Parks and Rec people make the best administrators.
You're gonna have to change your name,
I know.
administration leadership summit or
Oh,
something.
it sounds terrible. Let's keep it the way it is.
So we've had Farrell on, she's spoken to it in some capacity. We had Chase on, he's spoken to it in some capacity. I think the most interesting thing you are doing compared to what anybody else is doing is the belief that, I mean, I'm speaking for you here, but
Oh, please do.
I think in some ways, yeah, because we're like one and the same. I think in some ways, infrastructure is something that can confine some people or can be the thing people climb on and kind of get a different perspective. And it seems like y'all have just said our infrastructure is as wide as you can expect it to be. We're not going to program every 15, 30 minutes or an hour. There's a lot of time and opportunity where you have to have some sort of belief in the power of community. And I know you're a big believer in the power of community, that you wouldn't build infrastructure to make someone feel like this thing is worthy or valuable, or even that a city should invest in it, when really it's just, we're going to come here for 3 or 4 days and we're just going to talk. And sometimes talks can go for 15 minutes. Sometimes talks can go for 15 hours. And we're just almost really cool with that wide berth that you're providing.
That's kind of the reason I like it is, I mean, content really is created on the spot in a lot of ways. I mean, we have Farrell that comes in as kind of like that facilitator, but if the conversation goes a certain way, then we go that way. And I think what really helps, this could be the downfall to maybe people that don't want to attend. I mean, we don't have a CEU based
Right.
summit. And so we're not restricted by very specific things that for those requirements. But at the same time, if one topic goes one way, there's no limits. I mean, we could go a completely different direction in what we plan as a board, and we get participants in there. We could be talking about completely different things. And I think that's the thing that's the most unique about this summit is that it's a conversation, it's a leadership thing, it's a commitment, but at the
No,
same
it's not
time,
CU. It's not
yeah,
CU. And if you need CUs, there's plenty of great opportunities, and y'all are like, go to those.
Yeah.
I love that.
Well, I think that's the key. There's so many other opportunities for CEUs that I would hope that people that are going to yours are not going for that purpose. Where a lot of times, like you go to a conference because you need to get CEUs. What you're going to take from the summit is very different than what you will take from going to a, 45 or 60-minute session at a conference.
yeah, absolutely.
And that's where you guys are strategic with the numbers. So that's relationships that are built and those connections that are built that don't necessarily happen when there's 7,000, 8,000 people or even 1,000 people at a state conference. I mean, it happens after hours maybe, but not in a 60-minute session classroom.
Yeah.
Before we get off to whatever the next topic is, y'all all met at director's school, I believe. Well, you knew Chase for a long time, but the idea at post director school, we need this opportunity to debrief and reconnect and everything else that goes along with that. And I think that was if I remember, that was kind of the original premise of this director summit. It was post director school grads coming back and kind of revisiting. But there had to be at some point where you sat in something and said, I like that this is structureless, or I hate that this is so structured, maybe is what you said in and saw, whether it was at in RPA or director score somewhere else, or maybe not that you hated or that you loved it. It was just that this was so structured. I would have loved to have finished this conversation here, but there was no quote unquote time for it, or we had to go to the next thing. Could we do a better job at our conferences of providing the thing that y'all are doing so well, or is it something that needs to be on its own?
It's a great question. I think in our case, I mean, like there's no expectations. Like none of us on the board have any monetary gain for this concept. And so I think in a true like big conference setting, there's just so many expectations that have to be met, numbers or quotas or CEUs or whatever it may be. But like in our case, look, we just want to make people better, and there's no restrictions when we say, hey, look, I want to make Tom better. I want to make Shane better. And whether that's talking about Parks and Rec, or maybe that's talking about relationships, maybe it's talking about, family relationships. It's just nothing's not on the table. I mean, everything is there and available. And, you bring a bunch of people in the room that have Parks and Rec backgrounds. And in fact, we all walk away and I think all of us have a better understanding of just the human race after the whole thing's said and done.
No, I love that, and I want to, I want to actually talk a little bit more about that if we can, just a couple more minutes, but a little transition too to NRPA conference and the parallels. You had mentioned before, Shane, I believe it was you, about the CEU piece, and Bryce, you had talked about this isn't a CEU setting. There are people who go to the national conference or whatever it is, but let's just use the national conference as an example. They go there and there's obviously the experience, there's networking, sessions, vendor hall. And then if you're going to the sessions, you potentially can get CUs. I think I obtained my certification in this career 4 years ago. So I'm not a career-long certified professional. In fact, in our state, there's not a high emphasis on that. I think, Shane, we've had this conversation many times. Yeah. And some states, some organizations, they look at that and they say, oh, yeah, this is a piece that we look for in the individuals we hire. I don't, because I understand, it's you can always get that. And I think a lot of individuals, there's a personal goal to get certification, not necessarily even a requirement for their agency. I've talked to a lot of people who have pursued for that very reason. So I like to think that when we go to these conferences and these summits and whatever it might be, Agents of Change symposium many years ago, it's because we want to be there, a lot of individuals, not because we have to be there. So the three of you has served on the program committee for NRPA, correct? And I just wanted to ask, for everybody out there in your opinions, because I've never served on that committee before. Does a lot go
We made sure of it too.
Yes, I appreciate that.
We made damn
actually.
sure that wasn't going to happen.
Well, Bryce said it best. NRPA has certain benchmarks they have to hit with their financials. So whether certification and CU renewal, they're making money off of that. And it's the conference registration, they're making money off of that. Mm-hmm. So for the three of you, my question is, when you're scheduling or looking at session proposals, how much of it has to do with CEUs as opposed to thinking of what the general attendee wants to see? How much of that part of it, the certification, goes into your thought process from the program committee, just out of curiosity, or maybe it's none?
I mean, I don't remember any conversations typically around the choosing of sessions around CEUs. I mean, I think there'll be some side conversations that might come up of like, hey, is that CEU worthy?
Right. But can it be, they say they can do CEU. Yeah, those types of things. Yeah.
But it wasn't ever, and Bryce, you're still on it, correct?
I just got off. Sorry.
Okay. So no, you're fine. I mean, I'm off too, and Shane's been off for a couple of years, but there was never conversations that the committee would have on CEUs. I think that is where the infamous conversation on roundtables came up with Shane and I. It was like, is a roundtable where people are talking amongst each other versus getting led by an instructor worthy of a CEU?
No.
But other than that, like, CEUs never came up in conversation.
Yeah, I think absolutely to your point. I mean, when a panel comes up or when a roundtable comes up, or when we start adding some CEUs to speed sessions, for example, there are discussions of CEU worthiness from time to time, but CEUs in and of themselves, I don't remember ever driving a conversation that I was part of.
Yeah, I guess the idea is that, when we're on that committee, we're looking for like the most entertaining and most educational topics so that in case, we pick those and then hopefully people go to those classes and then the bonus is they get their CEU, I guess. So,
Yeah, yeah, it's just curious to me. I wonder I wonder if NRPA has ever done some studies on this, and we'll move on, but it's just, I've always loved the topic. Have they done any studies on the reason people are attending conference or
Oh,
those
it's a
types of
retention tool
events?
for
Oh,
NRPA for sure.
so that I will say they have spoken to that question. So every year, you probably remember getting a survey after conference,
Why do
and
you?
it's, one of the reasons or one of the questions is why did you come? And we would review that, or at least I think maybe not review it, but we were given that data on like why people are coming. And there is a large section of that is driven from CEUs, 100%. And I think as much as it is a reason, it's also a much easier argument for professionals to go to their leadership saying, hey, I need to retain CEUs.
Sure.
So that's why you need to support me financially to go to this conference. But I think obviously there's a magnitude of reasons why people go. That's just one of them.
It's a lever. I sometimes have hated it over the
Yeah.
years, but yeah, it's something that, yeah, I, regardless of my personal or professional opinion of it, I wouldn't want to take it away from someone that uses it as a way to stay active, and that's the only thing their agency
Yeah, that's a good point. It's the only thing their
values.
agency cares about as
Right.
opposed to just wanting to get better on your own or
Right. If you just
continuously
want to get
learn.
better, you can read
That,
something
that-
or but
right.
you now
That
you
may not be
have
enough.
to because you've
Yep.
got to get so many blanks. But there's good and bad things that come, I think, with CEUs or people that chase CEUs because I think there are people that are at the back of the room not participating that are just there for their CEUs. And
Yeah.
what I love about what Bryce and team are doing is that those people probably find no value in going to something like the director summit if they're only CEU driven, which means you get the 40 people, 60 people, 80 people. I don't know how much you're registering, but if all of them are in there to seek community, to have conversations versus if 80 people are there, but only 20 really care about that, it's a vast difference in, the impact of how good those conversations are.
Yeah.
yeah, I think the one thing that's different, in this conference setting is that like in the summit, we're really small. And it would be interesting to see like at a bigger level of an AB or an NRPA, like could you have a class of
Yeah.
15 people? But I just don't know if it fits in the model. And then, so I think that's why there's all so many different groups that can fill the void, whether
You
it's us
can.
or
It's the last session of the week.
Well,
You have
I do
15 in
think
that one every time.
it's interesting. I think you go in with a different mindset. And I've been in sessions at a conference where right when the conference session started, it asked you to, team up with the person next to you or team up with a group of three people next to you and come up with an idea or something. And when I go to a session and it's 70, 80 people, that's not typically what I'm going for. I want to hear from that specific speaker, or I want to have a conversation about that topic that might be more from the subject matter expert that's on that description. So, but I go into Summit expecting something different because I signed up knowing that I'm going to have more conversations. It's going to be more connection driven than just education driven. So I think there's different mindsets of like why people are going to yours versus that and what you go in expecting.
yeah, I mean, there's plenty of opportunities for everybody.
Yeah.
Our goal is not to put anybody out of business, but provide something that is unique to who wants to be there.
So, I see a lot of parallels to that with even the show to an extent. Obviously, there's no communication and dialogue with the other individuals. Of course, they can engage, but this is unscripted. I could imagine that the individuals who are listening aren't clearly not listening to get CEUs.
Right.
Yeah.
So the format, and I appreciate that based on what we've done and having great conversations, open conversations with people like yourself. So I'm going to ask one last question about the summit. Can you share
Yeah.
something that you all discussed that was unscripted? You had no idea it was going to come about, a topic or something that was just blew people's mind and it kept you all going, kept you up, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, I think honestly the most intimate conversations that happen that are outside the classroom, like when we're sitting in the ranch house or the mansion, I should call it the mansion, that's what people call it. And we're sitting there and we're talking about Parks and Rec, and then all of a sudden we go to like someone went off on like a deep dark tangent of like what's going on in their personal life, and they really opened up and really tried to get some advice. And I mean, it was just like
Yeah.
everyone kind of swooped in, like everyone just kind of slowly sat in the room and then just became that support system for that person. And so I think that's what's pretty cool is that, no matter what anybody's going through, somebody in the room's been through it or knows somebody that's been through it and then realizes, look, we can help these people. We need to help ourselves. I think sometimes in Parks and Rec, we're so about helping other people that we forget to neglect who we are and need to take care of ourselves. And there's people out there that can help us.
We'll be right back.
Hey, listener, is it time to DTR this relationship and make you a sponsor? I don't even know what the hell that means, but I do know that each episode of RecLess averages over 500 listeners. That's 500 potential ears attached to agencies that you could influence or reach. Over all of our social media and listening platforms, we have over 2,200 subscribers and it's growing. This spot right here could be yours. Not only would you reach the Parks and Rec masses, but your contribution goes directly to supporting Parks and Rec professionals in the field through scholarships for professional development. Contact us at recklesspod@gmail.com or check us out at recklesspod.com for more details. Okay, now back to the show.
I don't know all of the board members of the Director Summit as well as I know you for sure, Bryce, from our years
Scary.
on. I know. Program committee, but that's always been something you've seeked way outside of the Director Summit. I've talked on this podcast that you'll send me incredible texts that I'm A, not worthy of, B, I never return in any type of fashion. I'm the worst support tennis player Bryce has. Like Bryce sends this incredible tennis shot to me and it just hits the wall and dies or whatever. I never return them. Not that would surprise anybody on this thing. But even before I worked with you, Bryce, I knew of you because you were super active in NRPA Connect. Like you have just always been seeking and cultivating culture, communication, what culture and communication can do to improve the park and rec professional in a way that I don't see a lot of people doing that. Was there something that happened to you at some point in your career where there was this lightning bolt of before this happened and after this happened, or have you always been this way? Was it all the years in Yellowstone? Because that would seem like you probably didn't have a lot of great I mean, you had probably incredible moments, but I couldn't imagine you had a bunch of people out there at different times. But I mean, what caused this hyper focus seeking on communication and community, and that you just know that it's going to better the park and rec professional because you've always been involved in it?
Yeah, I think it's just for me, it's always just connecting with people. You just never know what the moment someone's in. I mean, that's why you get random texts from me or, those that know me really well. I actually call people on their birthday and sing them a horrible rendition of Happy Birthday. And so like we just don't know where people are at in different moments of time. And a text or a phone call or a happy birthday really just goes a long ways. And that's just the way I've kind of always connected with people and try to put myself out there. I'm no, crazy singer. And so when I call people at 5 a.m. before even their mom calls them, they remember that. And I think that's just the thing. There's a book that I always love. It's called Power of Moments. And there's just moments in our lives that we just need to recognize and build upon. And those random texts sometimes can be those first moments for a lot of people. I don't know. I do get a text back from Shane a couple weeks later, but some people I never hear back from ever again. But I just don't know.
Couple weeks is good though. That's
Pretty
surprising
good.
sometimes.
Is that a better
You're going to
average
make
for you
these guys jealous is what's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, this is a pretty severe scenario, but I text people that, I find out that, their mom died or, you just don't know. But I think it's just important to be there for people. My mentality has always been a giver. My friends that are really close to me, I'm always sending them random things in the mail. I sent Chase a pair of Texas Hey Dudes the other day. And, those little things mean a lot to people. It means a lot to me. And so that's just kind of who I am as a person, is just always trying to recognize people.
You're in the city administration. Jay, I think, has a lot of, I wouldn't say ambition only to be in city administration, but I think he sees that that's a pathway that he could very easily fall into as well. And I think Tom has more or less been recruited to do it. Not so much, I don't know if he favors it or not, but would y'all all three say that that mindset bubbles up best to a park and rec professional versus a public safety official or a public works employee or something else? Like, do we do that sweet spot of emotions or feelings still better than anybody else in the government side, and connecting to people on a human level, less like a cog or a machine, but more like we want to see where you're at? Or do you think that we're just experiencing it because we're in Parks and Rec and this happens in public works, this happens at libraries, this happens in PD as well? Is this the good part of leadership? Or are we doing it better than other people?
I mean, I think Parks and Rec is just so diverse. I mean, we've all been in that meeting or department where they say, "Hey, look, we're now going to install, a Wi-Fi line through the park." Really should probably fall under Public Works, but because it falls in the parks, now it's the Parks and Recreations Director's job to make sure it works. And so I think we as Parks and Rec professionals are just diverse, and we are have the ability to pivot anytime something gets thrown our way, whether it's an event and has a thunderstorm, or whether it's, does that like your water pipe thing you were talking about today?
Oh.
We just have so much ability to transition from one to the other that I don't think any other department has in the city.
It's funny, before the guys hop
Yeah.
in, you're talking about the water pipe. Everyone else on this call is talking about the complexities of the engineering and the repair and the public safety, public works function of it. Comms is thinking about it through, how many times are we updating? And I'm thinking we're losing the loss of recreational value on this lake. How do I offset that recreational value somewhere else? What can I give the public who are used to boating, fishing, and swimming at this lake? Can I give them a free day of swimming at the thing? Can I do like floaty things that they can fish to? The kids can go. Are we going to have to do our fishing derby, which we do at the lake, at a pool? And it's not real fish, but it's fake fish, and we still have this big prize. And like, so I guess I'm thinking of the connection that it has to the soul or the heart a little bit more than they are, but maybe that's just the role.
Yeah, no, I would say it's care. These are individuals who care. They care about people for the most part. They care about what they do. I can ask you guys a question. I'm sure it's rhetorical, but when you look at your other departments in your agencies, how often are you seeing transplants that are coming from Utah that are going into Dallas, or vice versa, or people going into Colorado or Illinois or Florida? Obviously, those are some of those more desirable places to live, but they also have some really great Parks and Rec programs. It's very common. I don't know that you're seeing that a lot in public works, that the public work individual is going from Texas to Illinois. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it in our area, even on a smaller level. Just look at it like a county. So when I look at our county, you don't see that. You don't see that network of individuals who are really, we're stealing from each other. We're looking for the next best Parks and Rec professional, and we're looking at the town over and we're saying that's a rising star right there. And when that next position opens up, those individuals are pursuing whatever the next option is for them, and it's usually there's an option or a possibility that's going to be somewhere else. So that's one factor that I believe makes these individuals really a great candidate for those manager positions, is because they have a drive that they're willing to go somewhere where they feel like they can make the difference, and not necessarily be content staying where they are. The other piece, and Bryce, you hit it really well, and I'll just kind of make it brief before we go to Jay, is there's a certain leadership aspect that comes from Parks and Recreation. And you had mentioned with the Wi-Fi, I'll go back to COVID. I don't know how many agencies out there, but I can speak for ours. Parks and Recreation led almost all of the efforts when it came to protective equipment, supplies, distribution, events for the community, because that's what we do. That's what we do on a regular basis. So when crisis happen, and Shane, you've done it with when there's shelter in place, and when you bring in individuals to a community center, it's Parks and Recreation. You're the individuals who are working that. So a lot of factors there, but it all comes down to what I said at the beginning of this, and that's care.
I would agree with you. And I also, the first thing that came to mind is what Bryce was saying too, on that adaptability. I think we, as Park and Rec professionals and leaders, are probably the most resilient bunch of folks, because we're being thrown things left and right all the time. the other thing that I'll add to the leadership component of why we make strong leaders in other positions outside of just Park and Rec, and I know I've mentioned this before, is our involvement goes beyond just Park and Rec. We're working with finance, we're working with HR, we're working with planning, we're working with engineering. Not everyone else can say that. Like, we can't really say that the planning department touches and works with every other department from a city department on a regular basis. Yes, they're going to work with, some, but they're not working with public works or buildings and grounds like we are. And they're not working with, I know we work with HR and everyone works with HR, but we work with HR probably the most because we probably hire the most seasonal and the most part-time, whereas other department leaders just hire full-time. So it's just, we have that connection and that relationship probably with every department that our city offers or town offers or county offers that makes us strong candidates to be in leadership positions.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, let's switch gears a little bit. And Bryce and I were talking about this very briefly when we were getting started is, one of the things I mentioned earlier in your intro was your involvement with youth council. And, here in the city of Concord where I work, we have a very strong youth council, but prior to every position I've ever been in, we've never worked with youth council. So this was new to me. When I came over to Concord, I honestly didn't even know much about what youth council did, what they were. Talk about your youth council, how that's impacted your community, and overall, like, what are the benefits that you've seen over your time being involved?
Yeah, for sure. So when I first started in Centerville, I kind of was that youth council advisor that kind of oversaw the youth. Well, when I got here, there was one kid. And so we had our work cut out for us. And so we kind of created some opportunities in the community where we kind of recruited kids that were doing specific service projects or wanted to be involved in the community. And we kind of brought
Well, you
them
have 4
together.
kids.
What's that?
You have 4 kids. So
Well, I
now you
don't-
got 5 kids participating, right?
Listen, I've learned don't live and work in the same town.
Wow, gotcha.
So
Gotcha.
anyway, one kid. But yeah, I mean, I think you bring kids together. So that first year we had one, and then we kind of changed the way we did it and just kind of did a lot of word of mouth. And now we have 37 kids in our youth council. And basically, I changed the mindset and I said, hey, look, the council was just using them as kind of like free labor. Oh, the youth council can do this, or the youth council do this. And so there was no buy-in. The kids just felt like they were being used. And so we really sat down with the council and said, hey, look, if you want them to be effective, let them set what they want to do. And if you let them set what they want to do, then they'll do all the other stuff, no problem. And so that's kind of the mentality we've changed is now that we have 37 kids and growing, they're doing their own service projects, they're doing their own initiatives, and then working the 4th of July or the Easter egg hunt, it's like no big deal. And so I think changing the mindset and getting the kids buy-in has been a huge thing. The other component of that is in Utah, we have kind of a statewide association for all the youth councils. And currently I'm up at Utah State right now doing that annual conference. And so we have 300 kids here from councils from all over the state learning leadership skills and development and things like that. And it's all youth led. So these kids, they come up with their own topics and they lead the classes. And we as advisors just make sure that, nobody goes to jail. And it's a pretty incredible opportunity because a lot of these kids, it's their first time they've ever presented in front of like 40 kids, like their peers. And they knock it out of the park. And they really make it personal to who they are. I mean, I'm going to butcher this, but what's the video game, Royale?
Super Mario Brothers.
No, it's not. Battle Royale. They've basically taken Battle Royale and they've kind of tweaked it to make it apply to city government. And they're really applying things that are applicable to them and then teaching their peers about, mental health and civics and, self-esteem. And it's a pretty incredible opportunity. I've been on this board for a few years, and it's definitely by far one of my favorite things now as administrator is to still be involved in that youth side now I'm the dark side of administration.
As someone that was a Parks and Rec director has moved into the administration side, seeing these youth and how they're interacting with government, how they're gamifying government in some ways. What do you think their impact on government will be when they're here leading it?
I'm starting to see them more involved. Like, I think they're more involved than their parents. Like, I've seen more kids that council meetings, and I've seen more kids wanting to be involved. Why does this work this way, or what's this process? At least in our level, we're just seeing more kids wanting to be part of government rather than being anti-government. And I think they want to be educated so that they're smart in the bigger circles. And so I think that's really the part that I think is pretty exciting for me.
I think you're right. It's funny you said that because here in Concord, one of the requirements for our youth council is they come to a council meeting. They have to get credit for their involvement. And a lot of times their parents are driving them and staying at the meeting because the mayor will actually, allow a minute at the beginning of a meeting to say, is there anyone here from youth council? They'll stand up, say their name, say what school they're from. So they have to get that credit. But in some cases, I'm there at every council meeting. So you can kind of see the regulars that are there. And these parents that are driving the kids, you can kind of tell that it might be their first time there. So it's interesting to see like the kids are coming for the first time because they have to. The parents are now coming because they're driving their kids. And the parents are now like, oh, this is what takes place at a council meeting. And they're learning. So it's almost like the kids are being educated, but the education is also helping the adults as well that may not have known how local government operates.
Well,
Yeah,
you
100%.
see youth now, they seem pretty politically astute in some ways, at least compared to what I felt like I would have been at their age. And it also doesn't seem to be driven on their parents' political viewpoints. Like they seem to be pretty independently driven now. That could be developed through only what they're seeing through social media. So, I mean, that could be dangerous, but we have colleagues and family members and friends that are doing that same thing at 30, 40, 50, 60. So I don't think it's any more or less dangerous for them than it is anybody else, but they do seem to be more politically aware and astute than that I felt I was. I wouldn't have known what a mayor did at 18 or what impact they were going to have on my life. I wouldn't have thought anything of it. Maybe a high school football coach or even like a State Farm agent, but not a mayor.
Forget 18, man. Some of these kids are 15, they're 14.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, it goes even younger than what you're saying. Well, listen, I'm going to piggyback on what Shane was just talking about because he asked you about, your role obviously is different. Your current title is Administrative Services Director. You moved into that role a little less than 3 years ago, I believe.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, like,
Sounds so boring.
I'm curious what that was like for you. Like, you knew you were going to step away from just Park and Rec after being in it for so long.
Yeah.
Was that a tough decision? And what prompted you to still proceed with that, knowing that it was going to be away from what you've known for so long?
Yeah, maybe just kind of give a little backstory, but I mean, Parks and Rec for, 12 plus years. And then I was in a role. So I graduated from college, went to a job for a couple years, thought it was great. My wife and I thought we were making tons of money. We thought $29,000 was like $1 million.
Everything you need.
Yeah, everything we need. We don't need anything more. And then a job opportunity opened in Southern Utah as a first full-time rec director for that agency. And I said, well, I'm going to apply because my goal was to always be a rec director. That's what I always wanted to do. And so I applied, got the job. We're making $40,000 now. We are super rich. Like we are on another level. And I did that job for almost 10 years, built everything from scratch, got to do everything the way I wanted it done. We retrofitted buildings and all this fun stuff. And then I kind of had a falling away with city leadership and got fired, basically. I was at an all-time low. It's about people like we talked about earlier. Chase and I have very similar career paths, and we've kind of helped each other out as we've kind of gone through these things. And I applied for a lot of jobs, like 50 jobs, and I kind of got blacklisted. It was really hard to find a job, and I had to stay in Utah because my retirement's here, and I had so much time already in. And so finally, I got a job at an agency where the only job they were offering was a recreation coordinator job. And so I went into the meeting, and everyone's in the room was like, why are you applying for this? And I said, I just need a job. Like, I love recreation. I don't care what I do. I mean, after this all said and done, what I learned was really titles don't mean anything as long as you're happy. And after I went through that interview process, they were like, great. They offered me the job. And then 2 weeks later, I didn't hear anything. And they're like, hey, we're having second thoughts. And I was like, look, I just need a job. And through some other inner workings, they finally were like, look, we're going to hire you. So I became their their over-experienced recreation coordinator for this little city of about 15, 16,000 people in Centerville,
Did all
Utah.
your colleagues call you Pops or Grandpa
Yeah,
or
pretty much. Big Daddy. That's what they called me. So
awesome?
anyway, so yeah, I mean, I did that for a couple of years and then, or a year, and my boss came to me. He's like, look, what do we got to do to retain you? And I said, look, I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but I don't care what my title is, and I just would like to kind of get a little money back from what I lost. And so they kind of just said, "Here, here's your title, here's your what we're going to pay you." And I said, "Great." And I'm a pretty loyal guy. I mean, I try to stay places for a period of time, and then I was a community services manager for a little bit, and then the guy who was above me, like that assistant city manager, admin director, decided to take another role, and I applied, and I was super nervous because I'm like Parks and Rec through and through. I mean, my name doesn't get not mentioned in Utah without, something being said. And so I'm pretty well known. And to then go into a totally different world is hard.
Yeah.
And so I applied, they made me apply. So I was in the running with a ton of other experienced people and did the interview. I was like, oh, well, I'm just going to be a community services manager now. And they offered me the job, and it's been hard. I won't lie, because like go out and plan a sports league or a special event, yeah, I got that. But like to talk about health benefits and retirement and rates and risk management, it's super hard. But to me, like I was kind of capped out at Parks and Rec. Like I felt like I had done everything I needed to do. And so that's why I felt like I need something harder. I need something else to push me. And that was kind of the caveat to this new job is like, hey, I still want to have a little bit of hands in Parks and Rec. So that's why I still have Director Summit. The gal who's my community services manager now, she's amazing, Haley Turner. And so she runs all our rec stuff. And so I still oversee her. So I still have like one hand in, one hand out. I know it kind of drives my boss crazy because
Hmm.
he's like, look, you're kind of like in city management. You're not in Parks and Rec anymore. So we always have this conversation. But it's fun and he's super awesome. He allows me to kind of still be involved because he sees the value in having assistant city managers involved in Parks and Rec and other departments and being out there. But like I said, titles don't matter as long as you're happy. I mean, I could be whatever I wanted to be, but look, I'm in a great place, bounced from the top to the bottom, back to the top. And I mean, if I can do it, anybody can do it.
Titles don't matter, but I'm going to ask you a titles question, which is eliminate the black ball, the history. You're in Utah. Something's happened to this agency. It's no longer, it's dissolved. It wasn't your fault. You have to choose something else. Are you looking for administrator jobs now? Are you back to looking for Parks and Rec director jobs?
Yeah, see
What
that.
pool are you sourcing?
Yeah, so I think that's a great question. I mean, look, as a city administrator now, I feel like I'm even more diversified to go back to Parks and Rec if I had an opportunity down that road. There's some great jobs open in Utah right now that I'm like, oh man, that'd be fun. But like, I really love what I do like right now. Like, I like being the person that helps initiate change. I like being the advocate for employees. Employees come to me and they're like, hey, can we change this policy? Yeah, let's look at it. Or hey, I don't like the hiring process. Can we change it? Yeah, let's look at it. Like now I'm in a position to really make positive change. And that's what I really like about my job right now, that I still have a little dabble in Parks and Rec, but then I make a lot of
He's
employees happy.
turned, Tom. He's a
Oh
suit.
yeah.
He's a suit now. He's one of
Yeah.
these.
Suit.
He and Jay
That's
both just
So
suits. Just
I
go.
I
no,
know.
honestly, like I love his answer because I will say that's one of my driving forces of why I want to seek like further leadership is the ability to make a bigger change and actually help others as a team and not just Park and Rec. Like that is, I will never forget. I was having a conversation with someone. We were working on a strategic plan for the city, not just Park and Rec, but it was a citywide plan. And I'm like, that's what I love. That's what drives me. Like I love Park and Rec. That's, I'm a Park and Rec kid to this death, like to my death all day. But being able to look at values and mission and structure amongst the entire city at a bigger picture, like that's what I want to do all day for sure.
Yeah, and I think That's what really drives me to go into work every day is that I can be the positive change.
Yeah.
Sure, not everything can be changed, but we can definitely relook at things. We can look at things from a different perspective, and see if it's positive, if it's something we can change or not. So that's what I love about my job.
That's
So
awesome. It's a great answer.
For the aspiring city managers out there, and I mean they're out there. Jay's
yeah,
one of
they
them,
are.
right? So I'm asking this question for Jay, for a friend.
Yeah.
And
Suits.
there is a dynamic though that changes 100% when you move into that position, and specifically there's a dynamic that changes when you move from Parks and Recreation. Parks and Recreation, we absolutely have the capability of pissing a few people off. Maybe we change the age range on a youth sports league. No joke, that happened today, and it got elevated to me. Whatever it is, you're going to make some people angry. However, we also tend to be a little more liked than disliked. When you get to the manager position, there's definitely room for
Mm.
more individuals to not necessarily have the same rosy disposition of what it is that you're doing. And so, how did you combat that? How do you combat that today still? That there's individuals out there in the community that are upset at you because, and I'm just using this as an example, you might not take care of roads, but because the roads are a mess, because whatever it is in the administrative piece is corrupt, and they look to you, and you have to bear that brunt. It is a totally different brunt than what we're bearing because I'm going to guess that the reward or the compliments are not as common as they were in the Parks and Recreation world.
Yeah.
How do you internally, how do you go through that? How would you prepare someone for that who is that aspiring Parks and Rec professional to administrator?
Yeah, no, I think that's a great question. I think for me, like I'm still learning. So like I don't know if I have the true definitive secret sauce. But for me, like I feel like I try to be on their level. Like I try not to just be that guy who reigns from on high. So I'll show up and I'll bring donuts, or I'll try to go out in the field and I'll try to understand the concept and rather than be reactionary or accusatory, I really try to understand the bigger picture. Like I feel like that's what I've really learned and grown from is that rather than trying to accuse people right off the bat, and I try to say, okay, look, I almost try to do like a 360 view, kind of like a lifeguard. You're scanning the pool. I'm just trying to look at the bigger picture of what's involved. And sometimes I get humbled really quick because I don't see some things. So I think my advice is just to meet people on their level, try to understand what they're seeing, and then once you see what they're seeing, maybe help them see your side. Um, I mean, I think a great example is I have risk management in my department as well. And so we try to educate employees about a bigger picture. Something breaks, or an employee does something, we say, okay, look, you caused this damage. It's not just you, but it could potentially involve the city, or it can involve homeowners, or it could involve this. And so we really try to educate them. And then once they realize that, hey, look, I'm part of something bigger than just, a damaged fence or whatever it may be, I think they really kind of see the bigger picture and start to drink the secret Kool-Aid, and we all try to then get on the same page without writing people up and terminating people. I mean that's pretty extreme. So
And maybe just having some thick skin, short memories, because I can imagine, that mentality of, what's the most important play? It's the next play,
yeah,
not the swing and miss or the strike you took looking in 3 innings ago. So I can
yeah,
imagine that has to help you get through the days.
you take your wins. I mean, I don't know if I've shared this with you guys before, but like I have a really like a positive journal, and I have an oh crap journal. And
Okay,
I
I like
write
that.
down all the, positive things that happened in my life and in my career, and then all the negative things. And I just try to balance out those things. So if I have a really crappy day and something I think is really bad, I go back to the oh crap journal and I say, well, look, this really isn't that bad. I've gone through worse. And it kind of just helps me downplay it and not realize, I can get through this. I can do it.
It's
I
awesome.
think my
Yeah.
fear, and I have no desire to move up to city management, and to that point, no one has ever asked me to.
Yeah, that means that's going to happen one of these days.
But I think my fear is I think I would favor them and they would see it. Everyone would see it.
Yeah.
Like I would, if I got onto public works really hard, they'd be like, well, you're not doing this to parks, even if I am. So there's that to begin with. But I almost think because of that in my head, like I think we've all played sports and saw the coach's kid. The coach's kid usually got it worse than the rest of us, right? And so like, not only would I think that everyone would think I was favoring him, I'd probably be just as hard
Yeah.
on the current director who's trying to replace me, or he's trying to take it or she's trying to take it in a different direction than I would take it. I think Jason, who was Mangum, was a former guest on the show. At some point, I think he's moved into city management, but he's moved away from parks. He's taken different stuff because he was feeling this internal strife of, first of all, people are saying you're favoring it, and then he was like, whoa, we spent 7 years in a master plan trying to get the park system going this way. Now you want to turn it this way. And so like, do you have any of that? Because you're still managing parks. You're managing your parks. You're managing programs or events or recreational things that you might have created. Now this gal maybe wants to do something different.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I don't want to. That's exactly right. I mean, we're kind of unique. We have rec is separate from parks. So the rec manager reports to me and kind of the city manager because that's what my role was before. But yeah, it's really hard because I have a passion for Parks and Rec. I'm always going to bat for Parks and Rec before I'm going to bat maybe for another department. And sometimes I catch myself because I feel like I'm favoring
Yeah.
rec over communications or public works or police. And so yeah, it's a hard balance to figure out.
But I would also add, you probably would still have some of that with just Park and Rec with all your divisions. Like if you came up as a programmer and you have a programming division, you have a park planning division, you have a park ops division, you have an event division, you have all these different divisions in your department. You could show favoritism within those divisions as well.
Yeah.
So it's not much different.
Yeah, that's true.
I think, well, maybe you're right. I mean, I think there's probably people that think, I mean, coming up, maybe like now, I could leave this job and go run a job where I was just a landscape superintendent or a park superintendent. And I have so much experience in all of it now that I don't think anyone thinks I favor one thing or another. And I would have none of that with a library, none of that with
Yeah, that's fair.
public works team or whatever,
Okay, Shane, you got one more question before I flip over to rapid fire?
Yeah, sorry. So in the process of leadership, what is something you've worked really hard on in this transition that the public hasn't, it's not super apparent, but you're really proud of? Like the work you've done in this thing that maybe is internal or no one else sees it, but you're proud of the progress you've made in this transition.
Yeah, so I think that's a great question because like in Parks and Rec, you're in the public's eye and they see you on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
Now I'm at City Hall and no one sees me. So, my staff sees me and whatnot, but like when I go to city council meeting and somebody accuses, some department that I oversee, I'm like ready to take some punches. I think for me is just trying to find the little wins. This is really silly, but we just redid our entire website. And that's part of my purview is our communications department. And it was a long process, and I am no coder by any means. And it was really difficult, and we were on a time crunch, and we finally got it out. And people gave us crap about it. And the one thing that I will take as a win is last council meeting, a guy gets up to the podium during public comment. And I was expecting the worst, and all of a sudden he's like talking about how awesome the website is.
That's
And
cool.
so I think for me, like you just take the wins where they come. If one person tells you did a good job, just take it and go. And don't worry about all the haters out there. I feel like our communications has gotten a lot better since I've started, running social media and being consistent and try to be transparent with the public and, really trying to engage the public with different tools to make sure that they know what's going on. So I think just take the little wins. Don't worry about, winning everything.
Well said. Well, hey, we're going to do a quick transition here to some fast, rapid fire questions for you. This is where we'll probably dive into some more food. But
Oh,
with that being said, I'm gonna kick it off and starting off the food conversation. What is your favorite item to cook on your smoker?
Hmm, that's a hard one. I love doing ribs. That's my favorite, just because I like experimenting with different ratios and seasonings and different things like that. So I'd say ribs is my favorite. It's my kid's least favorite, but it's it's my favorite.
Do you typically go with, you prefer a dry rub with a little crisp bark,
Yes.
or okay?
Yeah, so I'll do like 3, 2, 1. So I'll do like 3 hours open with seasoning, and then I'll go 2 hours wrapped in butter, brown sugar, and Dr. Pepper, and then I'll do that, and then after that, do an open for an hour. So
That sounds awesome. So, all right, let me ask a similar question. This is going to be a great conversation. Similar question. What's your most requested on the side hustle piece? What are people ordering the most? Is it ribs or is it something else?
pork loin because it's easy and everyone
Okay.
likes it, and it's easy to cook, and you can get a lot of people fed with pork loin. Um, my kids always just come to me with crazy things. Like the other day, we did smoked Cheez-Its. A little olive
That's
oil
cool.
and smoked them on the Cheez-It, smoked them on the smoker. Or we've done bacon wrapped Twinkies before, and we've done bacon wrapped honey buns
Wow.
before. I mean, I'm no skinny guy, so I mean, we definitely enjoy life. So
That's
Is
awesome.
it
I
is it
love that.
trial and error? Like, okay, so I've got this
yeah,
pastry, and bacon. I know how long bacon needs to crisp up in a smoker. It's blank hours because you've probably crisped up bacon and on a different thing. But like, don't you then have to figure out the amount of smoke a pastry can
yeah.
take?
Yeah, so it's so different. So like on a stick burner, it's not like a Traeger where you can just set the temperature and walk away. But like on my stick burner, I got a firebox and I have to control the lever to allow heat and smoke to come through. And I'm tending that thing for 6, 7 hours while I'm cooking. It's not like a walk away and whatnot. But man, the smoke ring on that thing is incredible.
Yeah, see, I have a Traeger and I can walk away after I get it set, so it's easy.
Yeah, yeah.
But now,
Sometimes I like that.
oh yeah. Now let me, before Shane jumps in, I want to kind of piggyback off one of the things that was just said. Is there ever, you mentioned some creative concepts. Was there ever something that you made that you were like, okay, I'm never making that again? That was a terrible decision.
I'm trying to think.
Oh wow, he's a good cook.
Not really. There's not really anything that we've done that
Okay.
I'm like, I'm not sure. Oh, we
Smoke
tried to
makes
do
everything
cake.
better.
We tried to do cake one time, like cook a
Oh no,
cake, like smoke a cake. That was really
Okay.
weird.
Didn't
there's a
work.
reason no one's smoking the cake. Is that what you're
Yeah, I'm
saying?
like, yeah, I'm not sure desserts are the best thing on a smoker. So,
Okay.
Well, we had Chase on. He talked about every couple years y'all try to move director summit. So it sounds like you're going to be in Zion this year. Maybe even if it works well, you'd probably try to do it for a couple years.
yeah.
Where are future uh, discussions happening?
Yeah, no, I mean, beyond Zion National Park, there really hasn't been any discussion. We've talked about going back to Texas. I think the thing that's unique about Director Summit is just finding really unique locations. We try to stay away from like just a typical hotel setting. You
Yeah.
know, the Director Summit's on a ranch in Texas. And so I think that like makes it unique. So the Zion National Park, I got a buddy who owns an entire hotel complex that has like villas and pickleball courts and hotel spaces, and the Red Rocks are in the background. So we're looking for really unique places. If anybody has any ideas, we're up for some ideas. But we really try to rotate between like West, Midwest. We've been in the East. We were at Nova for a year. So I think we try to rotate it so that we kind of get a good, diverse group of people, and that's not so Texas heavy or Utah or whatever it may be. So yeah, not that's a good question. Trying to sneak that out of me.
I
So
did. I did.
we
I
don't even
did.
know. We don't even know. So
Aside from the director summit, so you can't use that as your answer. You've poured a lot into the profession. So again, I know you're in the administration business now, the suit and ties, but if you could go and say of one of those experiences that you poured back into, what was what's been one of the most enjoyable if you, and I know it's hard, they're all great, but what's one that you could say was really enjoyable? I really enjoyed giving in, and I received a lot back out of it, even so that maybe someone else out there listening could say this is something I might want to pursue.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great question, and I'm going to answer really quick. Something that I really enjoyed while I was going to college in my undergrad was teaching classes in Parks and Rec, and that's something I always wanted to do. But I'm terrible at school. That's why I went into Parks and Rec. I couldn't take math to save my life, and so then to go back and do a master's degree and try to get that education to get to the next level, it just never thought it would be a reality. And then actually, Utah State reached out to me a couple years ago and said, "Hey, look, we're just based upon your years of experience and whatnot, we're just going to invite you in to be a guest lecturer
Cool.
and ask you to teach rec management or recreation leadership management, I think is what it's called." And honestly, that's my favorite thing to do. I have a really awesome boss who lets me take Mondays off and drive an hour up to Utah State and teach rec management to people in Parks and Rec and sports management background. And that's one of the most enjoyable things that I've done so far in my career as of late. Because it still gives me that background in Parks and Rec, but then some of the really unique experiences I've had in admin through HR or risk management, then I get to help future Parks and Rec people prepare for that you can't necessarily find in a textbook. And so that's been pretty amazing. And now I'm teaching a couple classes now. So I think that's the part that I love the most is now that I'm kind of giving back and being able to have that opportunity.
That's a great answer. We just had one of Jay's former lecturers, a mentor of mine in the area, and Jay had mentioned how a practitioner in the field teaching was, I don't want to quote you, Jay, but I want to say that was one of your favorite, if not your favorite lecturers from what you learned. And Jay and I have talked about teaching. I know that's something that so I had the opportunity to do it. However, I started in 19. My current, well, the agency that I no longer, I stopped in the spring of 20, after the spring of 25, they lost the Park and Rec or Recreation and Leisure Studies major. They just dropped it, and very disappointing.
They said it was poor teaching, right?
Yes, it was. There was terrible reviews on the instruction. So, hey, sometimes you make things better. Sometimes you leave a hole.
Swing and a miss.
I wanted to just ask a quick follow-up question to that. I came in and started doing that in 19 and in the fall of 19. So then the spring of 20 came, and it was everything that you could imagine in my area in March. And we had to hold and transition. And then for the next few years, I never got back in the classroom. It was virtual, and it's not the same. So I was just wondering, are you doing that where you've been doing that in person?
Yeah, so I told them I wouldn't do it virtual. And like I said, it's a big commitment for my agency to allow me to do it because
Yep.
I'm technically not in Parks and Rec. And so they allow me to take Mondays off. I stack all my classes on a Monday and I drive up. It's only an hour from my house. And then I spend 4 hours up here teaching and doing office hours. And, then I get to play golf with my dad in the afternoon. So it's kind of a double bonus. So, yeah, it's been really incredible. Definitely have had some great mentors like Tom O'Rourke and people that have kind of helped me guide me through that process because teaching is kind of a different beast than, programming or leading a team. And so it's kind of sometimes you have really good days where the kids are really engaged, and there's other days you're like 20 minutes in and you're like, yep, we're done. Go home.
We lost them.
Yeah, we lost them.
We lost them.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible.
Nothing better than when maybe a year or two after when you do hear from one of your students who's either landed in a position or is reaching out to you because they remembered whatever it was that you were talking about in a class, and you can, it's another way to help get some individuals maybe a start or get them on their feet.
Yeah, I mean, I'm at this conference right now, and one of my kids that was in my class last semester graduated and now is in event services
That's
at
great.
Utah State, and ran up to her and gave her a big high five and said, "Hey, glad you have a big boy job now," and this fun stuff. And so it's fun to see them in the field and actually applying some of the things that they learned. Probably nothing that I taught them, but definitely things that other people taught them. So
That's awesome. Now, Bryce, we've talked before about Utah in general, and I've never been to Utah. It's on my bucket list.
Yeah, look over his shoulder.
We could all see that.
You're
Yeah.
preventing him.
He tried.
Bryce.
He tried last year. He tried. I
I
hope
did. We were gonna try to come last year. We didn't make it, but I'm gonna plan something soon. And if you could plan a first timer, like where the two like gotta visit cities to visit no matter what.
I mean,
Or three, two or three.
the most iconic places I think people would say are St. George, southern Utah. And then I think the underrated place is Kanab, Utah. I think Kanab has some pretty incredible places. So this goes back to that Western themed thing. A lot of Westerns were filmed in Kanab, Utah, but there are some very incredible picturesque places in Kanab. And Bryce Canyon. Those are my three. I'm partial to Bryce Canyon. Come on.
Yeah.
What's something now that you've kind of elevated your perspective and you're in city administration, you're probably, I would assume, at some point, if you haven't already, plugged into the city administrations association and you're talking to other city administrators, whether it's ICMA or whatever it is at the Utah level. What is something we should know as park and rec professionals that those professionals think of us?
It's funny you should say that because I was a
Or just playing around all day? Is that what they think?
yeah, well, like when I was a community services manager before I was in the role I was in now, I decided that it would be really cool to take my city manager boss to URPA for the conference. And I said, look, you should really see the perspective of kind of the things that we're dealing with in the classes. And he's like, this is the best conference ever.
That's great.
And we were sitting at a table, and there's a gal who's a rec director up in a little town in Morgan, Utah, and she gets up on the table during the banquet because the northern Utah part of the state won an award, and she's got a big giant speaker, and she's playing "We Are the Champions," and he looks over and he's like, "You wouldn't see this at the city managers conference." And I said,
No.
"No, not at all." And we don't. I've been there a couple times, and yeah, we need to spice things up a little bit, but. Yeah, I think just seeing the different perspective and, it was definitely educational for, him to see that, look, we love what we do. I think that's the thing the most about Parks and Rec people. They're just so passionate about making people better and improving community. And it was fun to see that perspective and him to recognize that. And then essentially he's gone back and basically told everybody in the UCMA that we just party all the time. But at the same time, he can see that, we really care about people.
Well, Bryce, as I knew it would be, this was a phenomenal conversation. We appreciate the time, and I took a lot from it. I took some notes too. I'm going to look out for that book, The Power of Moments. It sounds like it'd be a good one.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate you letting somebody from the dark side onto the podcast for RecLess. So I appreciate that.
Former park and rec professional, Bryce King.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Bryce. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
And we'll stay in touch.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
Great to talk to you. Thanks, Bryce.
See ya. Bye.
That was good.
That was fun.
One stop city administration, man.
He's an incredible dude, man. He's just incredible.
Yeah, definitely cares for people. And it's, when Tom was given his answer to that one question about caring, like it is like Bryce, like through and through, obviously, just through so many of the answers he was giving and just his ability to connect and, whether it's someone's birthday or just the text messages you talked about, like that's what it's all about. And that's awesome. That's serving. And that's leadership at the highest level, because then, your staff's going to trust you, respect you. They're going to go in a fire for you because you got it for them and they got their back.
Yeah. Damn it. I missed an opportunity. Early on, I had a rapid fire question that I wanted to ask Bryce. What is the most unique or craziest reaction that he's gotten from someone that he called and sang happy birthday to for the first time? And
At 5 a.m.
I know our friend Chris Hunter had talked about that as well with his team, and Bryce seems to do this with individuals that he like. So the first time that's happened, has someone hung up on him? Have they said what? I'm just curious. There's got to be some great reactions to that.
Oh, I'm sure. Yes, definitely.
Speaking of Chris and Hannah are on with Jeff Ashay and his wife Sarah.
Right now?
They started at 2 our time, 3 y'all's time. So
let's crash it. Bring the computer in.
Let's hop on.
So Chris, is he the guest host?
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Man, Bryce is great, man. I thought it was was a really good one to have on, and I'm glad you got him on.
Well, and Tom, you do not know this, but Shane knew that it was going to be Bryce today.
Really?
Yeah.
I'd reached
Not-
out to him about his students, see if I could figure out a way to get his students on. And throughout the conversation, I was just like, what if I just have you on? He was like, yeah, I'm going to be on March 6th. I was like, oh, okay.
Oh, he told you.
Yeah. So,
But I didn't find that out until literally Shane was letting me in the Zoom. So I didn't mention anything to Bryce, but that was a fun conversation. And him and I've had a bunch of great conversations over our time with CPC, and I knew he'd be one that I wanted to target. And I figured Shane might target him too. So I wanted to get him on, soon so that Shane didn't steal him.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Well, awesome, guys. I don't know who's up next. I don't
It's
have that
me.
schedule in front of me. Okay. You sound so excited about it.
So excited. Still trying to confirm it, actually.
So you think it's you.
Wait,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, I'm excited too. We'll see who Shane brings on next. I have a question, but that'll
Could be
for
Bryce again.
off air. Maybe it is. What if we did that once? I'll just come back again.
Yeah.
No, it's if I were to guess, it's going to be someone from Texas.
There you go. Deep in
Texas,
the heart.
not an Academy member.
That's right. Can we keep guessing? Yeah.
And someone that hasn't gone through Capra.
There you go. Nailed it.
I had a text message from Trista today, a few of them, and she said, first of all, I thought individuals, and I guess our loyalists are going to like the two-parter, but I didn't know how people would like the two-part recap. And Trista goes, boy, I should just read it verbatim, but I'll just paraphrase. She goes, how uncomfortable were you when Jay and Shane went on their rant about Capra?
When mom and dad got into a fight.
I go, I wasn't really uncomfortable. I was just bored. I've heard it plenty of
enough times. Yeah.
Yes.
It probably won't be the last time either.
No.
And then he brought on Lakita the next time to all things Capra.
I didn't know we were going down that path, though. That was not planned.
Yeah, it was cool, though.
Well, this was fun, guys. And as always, it's good seeing y'all. And thanks for listening. And we'll see you soon.
See ya.
See you next time.
Here at RecLess, we love to give back to the community that we're so passionate about. We do that by providing scholarships to professionals to attend conferences they may not otherwise be able to attend. That's where you come in, sponsorships. If you are interested in a sponsorship, we'd love to connect with you. So this spot could be yours. Contact us today at recklesspod@gmail.com or check us out at recklesspod.com for more details.
This episode of RecLess wouldn't have been possible without the support of our agencies and our better halves, Melissa Salatino, Lindsay Tryon, and our executive producer, Hannah Mize. We also want to thank our director of hashtags and swag, Rooney Taylor, and our team of junior producers, Luke, James, Elizabeth, Grant, and Harper. Stay up to date on all things RecLess by following all of our social media and like and subscribe wherever you get your podcast to ensure you don't miss an episode. See you next time on RecLess.